We're now going to hop over to foodworldorder.com for a couple of stories. The first from foodsafetynews.com. Salmonella lawsuit filed in Oregon after 30 get ill. A salmonella lawsuit was filed against Los Dos Amigos restaurant in Roseburg, Oregon, Wednesday. According to the complaint filed in Douglas County Circuit Court, Roseburg resident Melissa Sermon became ill after eating takeout food from Los Dos Amigos restaurant on April 9th and was hospitalized for 4 days with a salmonella infection. The lawsuit alleges that food products sold by Amigos Restaurant were unfit for human consumption and were not reasonably safe, and were manufactured in violation of applicable food and safety regulations. At least 30 people became ill with salmonellosis, the illness caused by the ingestion of salmonella bacteria, after eating purchased food from Los Dos Amigos Mexican restaurant between April 9th and April 17th, 2010. Douglas County Public Health Department investigators believe the salmonella outbreak was caused by cross-contamination, but the final outbreak report has not yet been released. Cross-contamination is a common cause of salmonella outbreaks at restaurants, said attorney R. Drew Falkenstein, who's representing Sermon in her claim against the restaurant. Proper food handling and preparation are key to preventing foodborne illness outbreaks like this one. Now, we link to the Douglas County Public Health Department and the Yelp entry on Los Dos Amigos, which I imagine is going to go down in flames fairly soon. And interestingly enough, as we said, the story comes from foodsafetynews.com. When I Googled attorney R. Drew Falkenstein, I believe he's out of Seattle, and he's listed as being a frequent contributor to foodsafetynews.com. So that's where that came from. And again, I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon. So again, this is close to home. And again, I subscribe to tons of news feeds. That's how I'm able to do the data mining that brings you all the stories on Media Monarchy and Food World Order and Cyberspace War. There are so many things and so many stories coming out from foodsafetynews.com and farmwars.info and naturalnews.com. If I posted up all the recall outbreak stories I saw, it would overtake Food World Order. So our final story, by way of alternate, Newman's Own, exploiting organic labeling loophole. Some food companies have found a way to cast their processed foods as organic without going through the inconvenience of using certified organic ingredients in their products. By incorporating the word organic into their names, these companies have been able to display the magic word on the packaging of food products that are not in fact organic. This deception has recently been called out by the Cornucopia Institute, cornucopia.org, organic watchdog group, which has filed complaints with the National Organic Standards Board and the Federal Trade Commission. The alleged infractions run the spectrum from blatant misrepresentation, in the case of Oskri Organics, that's O-S-K-R-I, and I've not heard of that one, to stretching the limits of evolving definitions of organic in the case of a surprise entry in Cornucopia's list of shame, the much-loved Newman's Own Organics. Now, the few things swirling around and related to this, and we do have links, again, to cornucopia.org. My girlfriend was the first person to mention, ever since Paul Newman died, she could see the ingredients lists getting worse. And as some of you may know, I work at a food store, and we sell a lot of Newman's products. That's how we noticed they started to go downhill in the last couple years after Paul Newman's death. They still do good stuff, and they still, I believe, give away all their profits. But this is something we have to become more and more and more and more aware of, unfortunately. Every time you're trying to get out of the box, there's another box set up for you by, again, these interlocking, overlaying agendas that have been worked on for a long, long time. Is every single thing a conspiracy, as some will complain and whine? And I sometimes just say, no, it's all total coincidence. There is no eugenics agenda at all. There's not insane people for over the last 100+ years have plotted to sterilize and wipe out mass amounts of the population. But that's digressing again. And the way that we'll wrap up this Food World Order coverage, I just did an interview last week with author, researcher, podcast host, Tracy Twyman, tracytwyman.com. If you listen to Media Monarchy and then you check out my man Clyde Lewis, you may have heard Tracy Twyman appear on the Ground Zero Lounge as well as the new live KUFO show. We had a good conversation focusing on Food World Order and the food attacks, and again, the eugenics agenda, where we get into the Gateses and sterilization and population control and flying vaccines, flying syringes. And again, that just got published late last night. I will be posting that up to MediaMonarchy.com and to Food World Order, but now you are the first to know about it here. And again, my friends, I think that is going to do it for this, fortunately, relatively brief B-side episode of 170 from MediaMonarchy.com. So much to go over in the upcoming episode 170. Just to give you the appetite whetter. The triumphant return of The New World Next Week, my video series with James Corbett of CorbettReport.com. We've got class warfare, anti-DC, anti-establishment candidates, where elites meet, the massive news purge. We've got terror drills, national level exercise, police state updates, Obama, Goldman Sachs, the Gulf oil updates, God's work. And we're even going to get into a little bit of history mystery on the OKC bombing and the murder of Sergeant Terry Yakey. All that and so much more coming up on episode 171 for MediaMonarchy.com. So again, having said that, my friends, I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. Again, we've been working on new live streams and recorded videos from live here in the PRAradio.org studios. Again, these are all just tools, trying out the tools. But there's got to be content, and there's got to be passion, and there's got to be information. And it's got to sound cool and be fun. And all that we're facing, it's got to be at least a little bit. So I invite you back. I invite you to subscribe. That way you won't miss a thing of all the media that's coming out, the articles and the episodes and the B-sides and the mixtapes and the interviews and now the videos and more video. Again, help all of us grow together. And that's all I got to say about it, my friends. I love you and thank you. My name's James Evan Pilato. I'm your host and webmaster of the site and show MediaMonarchy.com, reminding you, don't hate the media, become the media. Take care.
How would you explain it?
Combining music and stylized images.
It's all remote control.
Each one of those images was electronically based.
Say on my track.
And that concludes our program for tonight.
This could really catch on.
I can't remember when I've been so moved.